the Israelites were able to cross the wide opening in the sea in a matter of hours. Pharaoh's army, with hundreds of chariots and thousands of soldiers, followed the Israelites into the sea.
God, thy will be done.
Some critics express doubts that Moses and the Israelites crossed the Red Sea at all. Others do not believe any part of the Exodus. But recently, there has been a discovery of some remarkable evidence.
There are certain hallmark pieces of pottery that we look for in attempting to trace the Exodus event and the migration of the Israelites into the land of Canaan. One of these pieces is this very nice pilgrim flask that's very nicely painted, and the shape itself apparently indicated the product that was shipped in it. It comes from Cyprus, but it's important for dating the other material that we find in connection with the Israelites. Another piece that we have is the Philistine beer jug. The Philistines were very fond of drinking beer. Was fermented right in the jug, and you can see it was sieved as it was poured out into the drinking vessel itself. The Israelites copied the Philistine ware, which was very highly painted, and came out with a very poor reproduction. So we can always tell when we come into a site that the Israelites themselves have now moved on to this site. Daily there are more and more pieces of evidence that are being excavated that are helping to demonstrate the fact that the Israelites came in the Exodus and settled in the land of Canaan.
One of the interesting questions that Emmanuel Anati has answered in his research, and he's one of the top Sinai archaeologists, is the question, what were the Israelites doing during the 40 years that they were wandering in the desert? Well, Dr. Anati has discovered something like 30,000 rock inscriptions which he dates to the time period of the Exodus, in which he believes the Israelites carved on those hot weathered rocks.
New findings are being unearthed at several archaeological sites, such as the unusual pottery items and rock drawings, which give hard evidence that the Exodus really did happen. But even as the validity of the Exodus is being scientifically proven, the controversy over the parting of the Red Sea is heating up.
The idea that the Red Sea could have parted into two walls of water, as portrayed in movies by Hollywood movie makers like Cecil B. DeMille, is just not credible.
At this site in 1799, Napoleon's engineers discovered an underwater ridge some 600 feet wide that extended from shore to shore. His engineers calculated the right time for crossing this 5.2-mile strip when the east wind would blow sufficiently to clear the seabed of water. Napoleon, however, barely escaped with his life when a sudden change in the wind's direction brought an onrush of water that covered the strip in just a matter of minutes.
Recently, Professor Doran Knopf of Florida State University, along with Dr. Norman Paldor of Israel, revealed their findings on the Red Sea crossing to the world press.
Dr. Paldor and I were not so much interested in whether crossing of the Red Sea occurred or not, but we were intrigued by the possibility that perhaps there is some explanation for a similar process. So what we did, we developed what we call in physical oceanography a mathematical model of the part of the Red Sea where many people believe that crossing could have been. Okay, what we have here now is a physical model of the Red Sea. The deep part supposed to represent the main body of the Red Sea, which is about 2,000 or 3,000 feet deep. And the shallow part, with the one with the sloping bottom, supposed to represent the Gulf of Suez, which is much shallower. As we said before, the average depth of the Gulf of Suez is about 100 feet, and the length is few hundred miles. Okay, what we have in addition to this, we introduced here an artificial ridge, which you see right here, and the depth of the water above that artificial ridge is only about 10 feet high. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the wind blow from here, and you will see how the water recedes and in fact exposes the ridge to the air. Okay, so what you can see now is that most of the water, in fact, to the left of the ridge is blown away. There is still some water there, and you see that there is an exposed area right there. All right? So the idea is that the Israelis crossed on this part of the ridge which was exposed, and they saw water on the two sides, right? They saw the water on the left side of the ridge and the water on the right side. And I'm going to cut the wind off now, and I'm going to do that abruptly, and you will see how it comes back. So let's do that. And of course, what happens after that is that when the wind relaxes, the water wants to come back to the position that it had before, and it does that via a gravity wave, which moves at the speed we calculated to be like 15 feet per second or so, which is, of course, a speed that one cannot escape.
Oceanographers have established scientifically how the Israelites may have crossed the Red Sea in their escape from the pursuing Egyptians. The worldwide media coverage of the Naf Paldor experiments and findings leave no doubt that the Israelites could have crossed the Red Sea exactly as described in the Bible. The Israelite exodus from Egypt is more than a story of 10 plagues against the Egyptians and the miraculous crossing of the Red Sea. The real story is about a God who takes care of people, and about the leadership of Moses, a man who in time of crisis relied on faith instead of retreating or surrendering. When people think of you some years from now, will they remember you as someone with a bold faith or a person who retreats from problems? Something to think about.